Oh,
Hello. Look, technology still works for us sometimes.
you know,
Woohoo.
I always think about how technology's point is to make things easier for us, and that's the reonometer, right? If something all of a sudden isn't making it easier, it's like, oh, maybe we need to recalibrate this somehow.
I mean, is that not the theme of 2020 to
Oh,
20 to this day? It's
oh
not
yeah.
over yet.
I had
Recalibrating, recalculating, recalculating.
my Grandpa Diener, Poppy Diener, John Diener, used to take the family on trips and would pull over the car, and it was four kids, and he'd stop and he'd reconnoiter. So that's a big word in my family. I need to stop and reconnoiter. Kind of put on the grandpa to do it, but it's a good plan for anyone, you know.
We need a we need a timeout sometimes for
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
Just
This.
I just started this podcast, and it lets you on Instagram title it.
Hmm.
And I know you said call me designer, which we can hear more about, but I'm like, I want to put musician and unicorn because
Musician core. That almost sounds like
musician corn,
musician core. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, yes. I all these things. I think.
musa corn,
Yeah, music core. Uh,
because that's all I mean, here's what I've experienced of you is just like music flying
yeah.
in the brain place all the time.
Oh yeah.
And unstoppably, and your presence is just like a constant hello, get your ha-has and shivli, and oh my goodness, so many friends here.
Yeah.
Hello, 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 everyone, welcome. Your presence is just full of like love and light and joy, and it surprises me zero much that you have a community of people that really just love to hang out with you.
Well,
So
as they say in Young Frankenstein, the feeling is mutual. So,
is that a young Frankenstein?
and put the candle back.
Yes, many
I'm a
quotables.
movie obsessed too. I feel like there's a book waiting for me. All I really need to know I learned from this actor or these string of films or blah blah blah. Those old all I need to know I learned in kindergarten. All I need to know I learned from my
Yes.
parents. Not really,
Yes.
but there's so much delicious media, and after imbibing it for so many years, I think it just started taking, and then I started putting out my own. And so yeah, so you're exactly right. Put it on a time scale. I think I picked up my first bass guitar when I was 15, which is kind of late, I think, but you,
Kind of late. You're hilarious.
time's made up. So
Time is made up. And until we're dead, game on. I mean, it's not over till it's in the ground. Yeah. And the older I get, the more I realize it's been game on all
there's
along. But
the great Dylan line that goes, "I was older than that then, I'm younger than that now," and I feel that a lot these days. Where I'm like, oh yeah, in many ways, maybe I didn't quite have the crow's feet that I got now, but I, definitely was more stressed out about something when I was 25 than when I was 40, let's say. So there's something to these Benjamin Button moments, these Benjamina Button moments. So
good point. Yeah, I
oh,
like to thank you. Sarah says Mel Brooks can do no wrong.
it's so true.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Um, yeah, I like in the whole, I mean, I'll say the whole process is a little bit like the process of giving less fucks about others.
and
Sorry if there are children in the room, but yes.
I have a nephew, one of my friend's kids, who often tries to say duck, but instead it comes out as it were.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, English! You're so
Right.
pliable. Um,
And
but yeah,
it's all made up anyway.
that's a great phrase, and I wonder about that phrase a lot. I've been wondering about a lot of phrases a lot. Uh, to give no fucks, to give no. What is
Ducks.
what does that mean? What does that actually mean? I like literally like to give a duck means to give energy to something, and so to not give any ducks would be to not give any energy to something. Is that kind of what it is?
That's the way for me. That's why
Yeah.
it's meaningful because I've spent, I mean, a bunch of, I could go all into it and it's been in my email newsletter. I tell the whole story, but like all the reasons that I have been programmed to only give ducks about everyone else,
Mm,
like my whole existence
mm,
as an Asian Chinese American woman is to make sure everyone else is okay.
fair.
Everyone else, literally within my family system, within my work system, my economic survival depends on only giving ducks about everybody else. So it's been the decade of reclaiming the
So,
ducks for myself. And it doesn't mean selfish. It means I get to live, I get to breathe all the way. And that's my coaching power right now is like, start earlier than me, please. I'm on the other side.
yeah,
You don't waste the time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also be wherever you are. But I'm here to offer a different way.
So I could walk around with a shirt that say I give myself ducks, basically.
Yes. Yes, it's true. And it will make people laugh in whatever way it does. Yeah, it's
I'll
true.
a little more. You know, sometimes the first draft isn't necessarily the best draft. Sometimes it's very bad. First thought. Sometimes the first draft isn't the best draft. Write that novel, throw it in the drawer, burn it up, get it out of the system.
But
But
the only way to
do it.
lose is to not write the first draft, right? To not start and not get it out into somewhere where you can see it.
With no aspersions on them, I don't think I own a single Nike product, but I really love their slogan. I feel like they just nailed it. Just do it. And then you combo that with taking a trip to the art museum, the art museum, and you see, you know, something like the, is it Duchamp's, the urinal, you know, and
Yes.
or that looks just kind of like finger painting or something, and you hear somebody comment, go, ah, my 2-year-old could have done that, and my thought is always, but they didn't, you know,
Totally.
if you didn't bring it to the art, folks, you know, it's like, just do it, and if I'm sitting here frustrated because I didn't get recognition for something I didn't put out, like I have to take a step back for a moment, you know, and who can we attribute the beautiful phrase, you know, do it badly, you know, do it as a joke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love the story Guar. I don't know how familiar everybody is with Guar. They're a shock rocker punk
Okay.
metal band that had
Okay.
a cameo. For most people, they might have seen them in the film Empire Records. There's a little cameo where they appear on television. Um, but anyway, they got a great story. They were a band. They were a separate band. They were a band called Death Piggy. They were a punk band in the DC scene years ago, and they were doing okay. And they needed to have an opening band, so they went backstage and took random stuff and taped it to themselves and created their own costumes and became this band that they titled, and it's more to be like the sound, like whoa, 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 or like a growl. So it's super long, ridiculous, out of control, whoa, 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 whoa. And it turned out after a while that people preferred that joke band to their serious punk band. So they got rid of their serious punk band, embraced their joke side, and ran with it, cut the
Oh my
name,
gosh.
you know, speakable.
Got it.
And they're a whole culture. I mean, not a widespread one, but they, you know, they've done super well. And suffice it to say, go with the joke sometimes. Go with doing it bad and see what happens. You can always, as we were saying, stop and reconnoiter. You can stop and
Reconnoiter.
you can recalibrate.
It's such a good word. Yeah, and of course the joke sometimes is not really a joke. It's the true self that is not told to shut up and sit down.
Right,
Like let it out, let it fly.
right.
And everyone's like, "Wait, hold on. There's something here," right? When you go to that place,
Because
it's crazy.
it's authentic and it's aligned with who you are. And I can't count how many times somebody has gone on a monologue about something that they're really into that I'm probably not at all. But I'm just captivated because of the emotion they're putting behind it. It's, you know, it's not. Yes, the taste, the smell, the look, all these things are important. But what we're always craving is how something feels. Like
Yeah.
I'm there. You know.
Yes. Well, and I think part of what I heard in the person being really passionate about whatever they're talking about is I think we all kind of crave someone giving ducks about something and like planting a flag. somewhere and not being like, oh, whatever you guys want. Like, wait, do you have a point of view? I'm down. Bring it. Which brings us right to the intersection of Jesse and May, I think, as business coach and as a creator. You have a very clear point of view, and you're not afraid to be very you and bring in the you, the many yous, right? I was thinking as I was sitting here prepping for like, who is Jesse? What do I know about Jesse? Is you are the person who is, I have a band for that and a
Yeah.
band for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's perfect. The Guar story, right? The Reconnoiter story. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yep, let's take a right here. Let's take a left there. Let's go that way. It's all good. All welcome.
We use such cool words these days to, I mean, first off, can I just take a moment and say thank you, language? Like, you're a funnel that we get to toss our thoughts and feelings into and, get something out. And yeah, stuff's spilling over the sides and we don't always get to pinpoint exactly what we want in words, but like, what a tool and what a reminder too. And so words like universe and multiverse that are getting thrown around in pop culture right now in a really cool
Yeah.
way. How fun. And look at those words, universe, one verse. Like, there's a music illusion there. There's also a unifying thing going on,
Yes.
and multiverses. And that was it. I was on the plane the other day, and I was watching, I think, the most recent Spider-Man film, or the penultimate Spider-Man film. I'm not exactly sure. I should be more caught up. I was a
I
better,
don't know. No, you
I was,
shouldn't, but whatever.
better,
Yeah.
I was a better comic book kid when I was, I guess, a kid, as it were. But like, I loved all that stuff, and I still do. And I love this concept that we're kicking around, the Schrodinger's cat of multiverses and things. I mean, we are all so multiverse. We are all so multifaceted. Even if it's just two things, you're already multifaceted. But I, I've definitely looked at certain things that have been hard or difficult for me and backed away from them. The typical, some of the math and science stuff, or hit a wall in calculus in high school. I was like, I guess I go no further with math or something. And then
Mm-hmm.
watch creative things, and they're like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, I just do it. I just let it go and I let it happen. um, I'm okay thinking that it's possible for me, and that's been something that I think took a little while to cultivate, and maybe I had to kind of emphasize to myself and affirm to myself and make it till I break it to myself before it really kind of took. And it's like, but it works. Like, everything we do is a little grain of sand, is the starfish on the beach that we're throwing back into the water. Everything counts. Yeah, it doesn't always seem like it adds up at first, but like, I mean, at one point in our lives, we couldn't even walk, And I want to take a moment too and be really kind and wonderful and thoughtful about the ableism in this world too, so I can come up with another analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Hold something in your hand without dropping it. You couldn't even, express a feeling or emotion to somebody. And now we do it when we don't even think about it at all. Like,
Yeah.
basic to us. Like, at one point, they were basically insurmountable to us. But every once in a while, I kind of remember that and go, oh, okay. So, the other day, when the amazing Catherine Gase was teaching me how to sew, I was like, okay, I remember the last huge fight I had with my mom was when I was like 15 or 16, and she was trying to teach me how to sew because she's a master designer, seamstress, went to fashion school, teaching me on an industrial machine, and we just had like a meltdown with each other because we're so frustrated. And so I was right there thinking about that. I'm like, this was really hard for me, and I had to back down from it, and I just threw myself into it, and I messed it up a little bit, but not as much as I thought I would. And then now I know, and every time I do it a little bit better. Every
Mm-hmm.
it's foreign until it's not.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, sewing is just sewing without all the story about your mom and the history of it,
Yeah.
right? And then you just are like, oh, wait, if I'm not actually in all of these places, can I just be here now?
Right.
And this, in the today me, gets to go again and not have yesterday. That's my that's my emotion for the thoughts that eat our brains that are like, wait, come back here to 36 years ago. No, actually, that's not helpful now. It's, we're just sewing. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
This kind person is helping me do a thing.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have experienced some interesting contrasts of things in my life, not being a religious person, but having gone to religious school in middle school and high school. I've never been privately before, but the one of the things I extrapolated from there was the very first line of this one Catholic figure's this one monk's brother, father probably, the rule of Saint Benedict's, yeah, a saint. His first line was "Always we begin again," which to me speaks to what you're saying. It's like reset. That was then.
Reconnoiter
That was
again, again.
that was the past narrative. Every moment you have a chance to do it better, to start new, to try again if you want, and you don't have to cling. I don't have to cling to my own past narrative or my own past experience to then re-experience the same experience by invoking it again in my head.
Yes. Yes.
How many times experiences where they can't really stay in their head, maybe they're performing, maybe they're in a new environment, and they can't tell themselves their story, and so all of a sudden they soar because they weren't talking themselves out of it while,
Mm-hmm.
or and I have a lot of I hopefully hold plenty of space for the things that people experience where they do have PTSD about things, and all that stuff is real and to be, respected as it were. And I often think about how many things in life are like turning on a light switch, through therapy, through checking in with ourselves, through knowing ourselves more. We're kind of headed, we might be sitting in the dark about something, but we're walking towards the light switch, hopefully at some point.
Mm.
At it, you can walk at it, you can take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, you can do all these things. Hope you make a flip of some kind, even to turn on the light just for a few seconds, just to see how that feels.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you're speaking my coaching language for sure. Turn on the light. I'm like, come to the light. Here's a light switch I see available to you.
Right.
You have choices though.
Right.
Let me just get us right into tell us about can you just describe what you do, your business,
Sure.
and how you came to start your business?
Sure. So I have my own company called Jesse Cartwright Dienner Designs, JCDD, and it used to be a corporation and now it's an LLC. And for what that's worth, but I've learned all this wonderful stuff about it, and I also totally encourage and invite people if they're thinking about making their own thing and going through the business paperwork. I've done it, and I've done it recently, and I'm here to answer questions and help. And I think there's probably another book in the way about, or just a little guide about how to do this and all these things that are available. Sole practitioner as a small business owner, but my business houses all of my creative exploits. I think part of the thing that took a little while to get, that took me a 17-year career at a corporation, helping somebody else with their dreams, which, power to that, but I was ready to do my own dreams. Always at the right. It just took a little while to figure out, okay, I am an artist. I hesitate saying things sometimes because it's like, I may have some judgment on that, or what does that really mean? Or a lot of people say they're this and that, but blah, 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 blah. I can remember being in therapy one day, and my therapist was like, you do realize you're an artist, right? And I'm like, well, yeah. And he made me pause, kind of Good Will Hunting style, and he's like,
Yes.
you're an artist. Get it? Do you get it? And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But, and he's like, no but. You're an artist, you get it. And art's everywhere. It's in a bunch of words to begin with. I love that bumper sticker with the earth and the art highlighted. Art is in the word artificial and artifice. Like, on some level, we're all artists. And maybe because we use bigger building blocks sometimes, or it scales another kind of genre, being like, I use the word designer. So in my company, Jesse Cartwright Designs, and what am I designing? I do a lot of graphic design stuff. I do a lot of like stage setting stuff. I design clothes, t-shirts especially, and all this stuff. So there's some visual and physical designs of spaces. But I also think that I design words, aka I'm a writer. I've written a dozen screenplays. I've got one I'm working on with my friend Mo right now, and it will hopefully be brought into fruition in some way soon. It's a comedy horror film, but I've got all these screenplays about time that I've written since I was about 15, um, which has been
About time?
about time. Yeah,
Whoa. So that the multiverse for
yeah,
today and yesterday. And yes, it's all been cooking in you since tiny, since
yeah. And
little Jesse.
and
Yeah.
there was so much judgment for years in various ways of like, oh, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing this the way you're supposed to. I mean, if anything had a rubric in the writing world, it's screenplays. I mean, there's a very,
Right.
intentional way that it's done. But you know what? We've got tools now that can take what you write and help put your stuff in there. So, that's what's so great about technology is we opened up our session here, like, use it to make your life easier. Use it so that you
Yeah.
don't invent you want to drive a car. Like you don't have to. Like there's so many things and they're free or they're nominal fees. I mean, there's so many great open source things now. I mean, for
Yeah.
record Reaper, as much as I'm a fan of Logic and like, Reaper, you pay $60 once and you got it forever. You put all your things and it's an amazing, intuitively designed thing. There's just so much cool stuff.
What is it? Reaper?
Called Reaper. Yeah, my buddy Daniel turned me on to it years ago. And
And what does it do for us?
it's a music writing program
Editor.
and software.
Oh, writing. Oh, nice.
Because that's the third. I've got design, writing, and music, as we've touched upon. And I think my umbrella term for it, which gets a little woo-woo, is that I kind of design all these things. I'm
Yes.
designing, like, but I think I have a strong aesthetic to me. This might be a little more visible in my all blackness and my multiple rings and my mohawk and all this stuff. Like I love good looks and good designs of things and functionalities of things. And so I kind of imbue that in everything I do. But it occurred to me that maybe my parents invoked it when my dad brought a boombox into the delivery room when I was being born, and I was born to a Grateful Dead song that had a lyric, "If you get confused, just listen to the music play." And so that's been my, you know,
Mm.
royal birthright, as it were. You know, and music has been such a guiding force for me. And then it kind of occurred to me like, oh, I love it so much, I might as well do it. As if I had loved cars so much, I might as well do that. If I had loved,
Right.
anything so much, do it. So yeah, so I probably write somewhere between 1 and 10 songs a week, and they're simple things, but there's so much musicality to the world to me. A lot of times, walking to get my groceries, I'll hear something in the cadence of my steps, and then I'll like grab a guitar. Sometimes I have a guitar with me. I often bring this one guitar with me wherever I go, and I just kind of put it down. And again, technology, I can record it right in my phone, and then later on I can plug it in the Reaper and do it a little more efficiently and a little more polishedly. And we have so many things
Hmm.
right. And I think another part of it is I didn't want to feel pigeonholed into like one thing, because there are so many things I'm interested in, and I have a good dialogue going with a friend about the power of focusing on something and also allowing things to just happen as they will. Um, so
Yeah.
scale myself back sometimes and focus on one thing for a while, and then sometimes too, it's like harvest and all the things are dropping and you got a lot of things to collect, and so you just do it. But I had some very fortunate, I guess I would say, kind of leadership, as it were, in my life. One of those people being my mom, who always comes in with a great thing that clicks in my brain, a great affirmation that clicks. And one of hers is, "You can't do it wrong." Now,
Nice.
granted, I don't think we should be out there harming one another in any way. But like, back to our do it badly, do it as a
Yeah.
joke, do it
Yeah.
authentic, like let your
Well,
you know,
this is, yeah, one of the things I love to talk about with entrepreneurs is whatever that freak flag light, I call it, is the light in you. That special light is exactly what was needed. That's why you're here. And the more you're you, the more we will all do that thing we talked about earlier of like wait, hold on. Somebody's saying a thing that matters. And it's already been a good ripple, is what I call it, right? Like, just say the thing that you care about and act like you care. Put a flag down somewhere. That is the vision of the world you want.
Yeah. And,
And I think if we all got to fully express that,
oh man.
like,
Well,
yeah, it would be like so many problems would be solved. I
oh,
know. There's a big leap, but I can see it. I can see the ways that everyone here is made just right to
yeah.
bring the full you-ness, themness, all of usness.
Yeah.
And then things would be less out of balance.
I, feel very American in this analogy here, but like I often think about things in baseball analogies where, or any sport really, even though I'm not so sports vested, like not everybody or right field or catcher. You don't have to try and be something you're not. Like we need a whole team in order to make the game happen. Or
Yeah,
like, so poor these days, I can only think of a couple parts, but we don't have to be every part of the cell. Some people are mitochondria, some people are the nucleus. Like you don't have to be everything, and it's all valid and it's all needed. And if you don't have all the pieces, you can't go. So
yeah,
that the
yeah.
only another one that got winged down to me this year that probably helped me tip me over the edge of deciding to embark on doing my own thing with my own company was I'm only in competition with myself. I thought for a long
Mm.
time subconsciously that I had to like win something or outdo somebody else in order to get something. And there are many structures in our lives where there are competitions between people. Sports is obviously one of them, but like, you're
Right.
vying that, but like you, I give this, comment back to friends who are experiencing lovelornness too, or heartbreak on things. It's like, I don't want them to be with somebody who doesn't want to dance with them. I don't want them to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with them. I don't want somebody to
Mhm.
aim for something that they can't get because it's just not meant for them. There's a
Right.
everybody. I'm also not suggesting people just, quit if they can't do something, but like if something doesn't resonate, like if it really doesn't resonate, but you keep the reason it's not working.
Yeah. I think this is something I struggle with too, that is just like what what is really good and what is just good enough. Because it can seem like that's all you have available. Look, our friend Lena Lou is here, and Amy Velvet Avalon. Hello, welcome, welcome.
And my beloved, wonderful aunt Hollis Bloom there as well. Um,
Hollis Bloom.
Another amazing, amazing person in my life. She made me a promise. She said, Jesse, I'll support your rock stardom your whole life, so long as you wear earplugs. And you know what? She's darn right. I got custom earplugs made a couple years ago, and it was one of the best purchases I've ever bought. If you're a concert goer, especially, not even just musicians, like protect that hearing. I call it the Pete Townsend rule, and people go, "Who?" And I go, "Exactly, the Who." He can't hear as well as he did because they were louder than Duck, you know.
That is, that is
But much love to Hollis. She and my mom have a clothing company together called Water Me Well. That's amazing. That works off of some of the Dr. Emoto stuff from What the Bleep Do We Know, where there were all those studies about putting names on uh, jars of water, words, emotions, and seeing how the molecular structure changed. Again, metaphysical stuff,
yes, that one. I heard about
but
that.
yeah, it's really
Where
cool
you
stuff.
can talk mean to an apple and then
Yeah,
it sits there and rots.
yeah, yeah.
I have a note to myself about it
There,
right over here.
there might be
So
some.
I will stop talking to myself
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
but they have this clothing line where they've got all these positive messages that are printed on the inside of the clothing. So you're not even showing anybody everything. It's not for anybody else. It's for
That's
you
amazing.
remembering as Dr. Rivenet, the uh, I guess I would say metaphysical doctor I used to see growing up, but the kinesiologist, chiropractor, all these things, doctor I saw growing up, is when you left, she would always say, "Remember who you are. Remember who you are," and that's
Wow.
that's probably in so much as people are doing things to kind of gain new things or change. There's a great, my favorite band of all time, Jane's Addiction. Perry Farrell has a line that goes, "You never really change like they say. No, you only become more like yourself." And
Yes, please.
that's kind of, I think, what you were directly saying and also alluding to in a bigger sense. You're already perfect the way you are. You're already perfect the way you are, ducked up. You know, you're ducked up for a reason. Embrace that
Yes.
for it. And oh, hi, Helena. Oh, I love Helena too. So
Your crew. So much love.
Helena is an ambassador of love herself. Um,
Sorry, speaking of ears, my ears are being weird. I'm gonna just pull them out and we're just gonna have a second of,
sure,
I think, reconnecting to the ears here.
and I think,
There we are. I
there we
think it's a little better direct to the phone, but tell me if you have trouble.
yeah, I will. No, it's good. But both were good for me on my side.
Okay,
But
perfect.
just did it right there on the fly. You recalibrated. You were noticing something didn't feel quite right. You took a moment,
Yes.
and now,
And it's all good. We're all still here.
yeah,
Okay, so can I just to recap what I heard is that you started your business as you realized you really accepted that you really are an artist. And not just artist in one way, but in multiple forms, genre.
yeah. What do they
Yeah.
say? You are the hero of your own story, the hero of your own journey. What have you? Like, I I had a moment again watching that Marvel film on the plane where I was just kind of like, oh man, like I get it now. Like I've got all these bands and like the multiverse of me, and some of them are bands, but they're also related to other things. Like one of my bands is called Turmeric Stains, and it's my joke about that's what I would call my cookbook if I made one. Which I'm like, I should probably just make one. And then I was like, how about the band sings the recipes? Yes, please. So stay tuned for that one. That one's a new one. Like
I
all,
love that.
all these things, like
Yeah.
we can do them, and you can do them and decide to not do them anymore too. You can let
Yeah.
it go. That's a thing that I think took a long time for me personally. Maybe others get it quicker, but I feel comfortable with it now, is allowing for a time and a place for things. Whatever,
Mm-hmm.
a project, a partnership, a relationship, a place you live, a job you're doing. It's okay to have a time and a place for things, and it doesn't devalue anything if something has to change or stop. And,
Oh yeah.
and
That, yeah,
we say
I
that
love it
proud.
because I mean we're always evolving, right? And everyone needs us to keep going. So dragging past you is serving nobody,
Yeah.
right? All
Looks
right.
like Tony and Jason are here. Right on, right on. I mean,
People. I
uh,
love it.
and I feel like I could come up with an amazing quote from all of them. One coming to mind from Tony is when we used to play music together, and we're still in a band together forever. Just we don't meet up quite as often as we did. You're never not in the band. You just and it was Jason too. We still meet up as much as we used to.
Nice.
Tony used to say, because I would say to him in my early days of playing, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I kind of denigrate myself a little bit, like, I'm not a virtuoso. I have all these
Right.
these calibrating phrases, like, I'm not that great. It's like, why do I need to? One, why do I need to express that? Why do I need to say that?
Who's that for?
Because we're told, I think to what you were alluding to as well, like, take care of other people first. Don't be too proud. Be humble. I mean, you can be humble and still have confidence. These are not,
Yeah.
fighting things. But Tony used to say to me, I hope you never know what you're doing, because the music you write is great not knowing what you're doing. And I
Nice.
that sometimes if somebody were to do something awesome and say, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm like, never know. I hope you never know.
Yes. Whatever you're doing is just right.
Don't know. Don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful. I think it's, we want to telegraph other people's judgment we've projected on ourselves, on them. And it's like a whole ducked up back forth game, right? And this is where I've learned, like, what am I saying about that person that I think they're that kind of almost like mean person saying that to me, but then I put it on them like that. Just stop it. Stop. Right? Like, because you're making up a story about other people being as mean to yourself as you are. How mean of you to put that. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say.
It occurred to me a while back. I was like, we're so powerful that we can feel powerless. With
Even though we're not.
with the greatest side to the fact that I don't understand how it really kind of grinds my gears that there are people on this planet that are being abused, enslaved, hurt, treated as less than, with guns to their heads in those moments. I mean, I don't know what to do about those things, but if I figure out something, or I'm going to keep trying to figure out something, because that's just insane in a planet that's so abundant and so full of love that we have people that have nothing and are given hate, or worse, indifference or apathy. But that aside, like, in so many instances in our lives, we are so powerful
Mm-hmm.
that we can even choose to feel powerless. Like, I am so, like, and I realize I'm in a crazy, obscene amount of privilege. And so it's going to be my journey to share as much as I can, in my life. That's the point. And
Yeah.
only knowing that there's enough to go around for everybody. It still gets me. I so look forward to my rock star money so that I can, just throw it at things to make things better. Like, and what the cool part is, well, I can do that now with $1 or $10 or something, whatever I can afford. And there's so many great organizations. And this is a call right here. I'm and this is probably why Lena introduced us. I mean, in fact, I know it is, because you and I are both creating communities and mingling communities together. And, right now, I mean, how cool that we only met a couple months ago and now we're doing this right here. We're actually doing something about it.
Yeah.
We've prepared for ages and, but we just did it. We're doing it and it's happening.
Yeah.
It'll be one little thing, one little connection, little extra connection, and then it just kind of spirals from there and dovetails from there. But I had a thing last night in my backyard, and Helena and her son came, and it was awesome. And they made scrubs and soaps, and I worked on my spreadsheets, but I call it the Bad Boy, Bad Girl Club. And it was a moniker that some friends came up with in part years ago, and I added to and made a bowling club out of it, and made other things out of it. Now I'm trying to get people together twice a month, almost like a study hall, so to speak, but a networking study hall, to just come on over. I'll have, tea and cookies in the backyard, tables out, Wi-Fi up, and, come talk to each other if you're working on a project but you're a little stuck and you maybe want to network about it a little bit, or you're looking for a tip or something. Or if you're like, you know what, I can't do this thing that I need to do in my apartment or at my house or at my job. Too crazy, and I need a new place to be. I'm like, let this be the place,
Yes. I
because
see that. Can I come?
yes,
Who
please.
is invited? Is everyone invited?
Everybody's invited. Hit
Okay.
and I look forward to it taking hold of whatever it needs to do and having its own franchised factions. I welcome other people to start their own. And
Yes. Yes. We could have multiple locations,
and
multiple stops. Yeah.
and it's so wild to, as they say, to be so connected to the world and to one another, and also so not connected. Where I'm very proud and pleased that we can still go to random events and find each other through internets of sorts. But it's nice to have some time seeing people multiple times, kind of like we would if we were in school or something, where you get a chance to vet other people in your life before deciding to do big things with them or whatever, or some consistency of meeting people over time and getting to work on stuff with them and building things. I mean, people talk about organic relationships happening. It's like, I think everything happens. It's just, if we're contriving or forcing something to happen, that's where we can get into trouble. Or if we're ignoring something, we get a little rub and we're ignoring it and then it turns into a blister. Like, life is so well designed. Can we just let it do its thing? Probably the underlying tagline of most environmentalists is like, the world's got its stuff together. Can we stop ducking it up, please? And we can. We just got to get out of our own way and stop
Out
feeling.
of our own way. And deciding that everything is possible. I think it really starts with that kind of piece. Wicked Tone says, JCD, you are a rock star. Woo
Yeah.
woo. Yes. And welcome Janae Nicole. Hello, hello. Would love to have you on here too, Janae Nicole. And yes, other guests for the podcast. DM me. Yes. Hello, Suman. Oh my goodness. All the people. So great. It must be because we've gone over by 10 minutes.
I know.
That people are joining us
It's,
in the late time. Um, so my next question is, what is your greatest joy in your work? What's that moment that you're like, yes, this is why I do this thing?
it's a little meta, which I turn my nose at a little bit, but it's the freedom to be able to experience the joy of doing the thing. I did a good job kind of sandwiching and scheduling and cramming in my art around my increasingly intense day job, which was great. And great Jerry Garcia line, don't quit your day job till your night job pays, but I hit a point where I was like, okay, I've saved up some money, and also like I'm not having enough time for my night job, and so I'm giving myself a whirl on this. And like, to have the freedom to create, like, that will be another thing with my rockstar money. Is I would love to give grants to people who, to give them the money to take a year off and like just really be able to jump in and invest and do what they need to do to give themselves a chance. Like,
Mm,
so many ways I've just been really doing this full tilt for a few months, and really kind of only for like a month, and in some ways only for a week, where it's like, oh my gosh, giving myself the time, because that's what money is. Money's time.
right.
So,
Yeah.
we all want to have duck you money. I think you can
Yes.
start by taking as much duck you time as you possibly can and turning that into the money.
Right.
And so my greatest joy is having the freedom, the tools, the space, the time to express who I am. There's a great book. I'm not so much here's the library of must reads, but if anybody's ever heard of this book or heard it mentioned to them, The Wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn, or The Game of Life and How to Play It.
Yes.
It,
I have it. I
it,
love it. It's so simple,
it,
and
it
I can I can just flip to it again and again.
you can just pull little things from it. But I used to have only 4 rings. Now I have 9. But four were to emulate her explanation of happiness, joy, health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression, which I've now deemed perfect as in authentic, true, freak flag.
Yes.
So when I'm in alignment with those things, when I'm feeling healthy and I'm, feeling the wealth, whether funds coming in or just of experience, the richness of things, when I'm in
Mhm.
love with myself, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I see it elsewhere. And when I'm expressing myself, well, duck, duck,
This
duck.
is the unicorn Jesse that I was talking
It,
about. That you are in this, you put yourself in this place of, and I just like to use the metaphor light. Like, you put yourself in your best light,
I,
right? You're,
I, I've pulled
and
out
then
more
being
light.
around you is just like a delight. Like, it is a delight, you word person. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can derive light from being around you, right? And it's attractive. And who doesn't want to work with a entrepreneur, a business, a creator of that feeling, right? Jesse is light, Elena says. Yes, I have felt that in the short time we've been together. It's really beautiful to be around you.
In a fun way, I think this is another one from my mom. There's some science theories that we are light and salt, is what I've heard recently, which is interesting. So yes, we may figuratively and figuratively be light, and it couldn't have been more perfect of you saying that, because I have more lights on me than I've had in a long time. So I am the light. I baffle the light. I mirror the light. I welcome other people's light. Like,
That's the other thing. Yeah.
another
Yeah,
thing I
says
think.
delight. I concur. You're getting a lot of snaps here, Jesse.
Yeah. Well, and you, one of my lead-ins is typically like, I love breaking words apart and then kind of throwing multilingual things at words. The word design, I think I was telling you this the other day, I look at it as D-sign. And I think of D kind of in like the Romance language, like of the Spanish. So it's like of the sign. I think
Yes.
the designer walks into a situation, and, Kat's a good example. She's a clothing designer and a food designer, I would say. She walks into a situation, and she, with clothing, and she can see how it's put together, and then she does it. Like, I walk into a situation for the things that I design,
Right.
pick up the signals of the situation. It's not even so much that I have to like practice a bunch or go to school for a gazillion years. Like, in fact, I think
Yeah.
Stanford did a study years ago. They were like, yeah, practice makes perfect, but also presence makes perfect. You see little kids sit down at a piano, never having done it in their lives, and have no reservations, no self-talk, no narrative, and
Yes.
play a little something. Or like my beautiful sister Rebecca, who's now taking care of her 2 month old hardcore. Much love to her, and holy
Much
smokes.
love. Yes. Yes.
Side note, maybe the biggest creative project in the world, says the guy with no kids and a vasectomy. Having kids. To all you mothers and fathers in the world,
Yes.
especially you mothers, that is a creative project beyond.
Creation.
I
Yes.
I have 100 albums to try and compete with the intensity of what it is to raise a child in this world, and y'all do multiple ones. I'm beside myself. I digress.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And yet, like all of us have our call, right? The
Yes.
place where we are meant to bring our light and make a thing that brings light to others, which I mean, not to oversimplify, but
Oh,
it's a human, it's a song, it's a moment, it's an experience, it's a podcast. I mean, we are making a thing, and may it bless at least just one person.
that's all.
And then we have done it. Check. Like,
And even
anyway,
if
thank you.
even if it just makes you and I feel good, we're already there. Even if you just feel good about that, we're already there. Like, it's that field of dreams moment. If you build it, they will come. Like, I keep thinking about that over and over, and I look at other people who have done these big projects, or I watch, these. I go to all these concerts and I see these stage productions, and I'm just like, how do people do this? How do you even manage doing this stuff? And they they had some duck ups. They don't
Yeah,
always right, but they do better. They take it in stride. They know that when they don't do it right, or they don't feel
right.
good, they can change.
They can change and they can keep
You can
moving.
only heal if you can't.
Agree.
If you have the supplies or time or freedom to do it, that you still got your brain. You still got your mind. Make the
Yeah.
change. See what happens.
Yes. We're still here. It's not over till it's really over. Keep going. Yes. So next question I love to bring is business challenge. Is there a
Yeah,
business challenge that you are turning around over in your head now?
you put it so well. Perfect segue. It wasn't even a segue. It was exactly what you said. I think the coolest part about being a human is we've got these amazing brains that are so literally and scientifically awesome, but even more than we can comprehend in our current level of science. And
Right.
therefore, they're also probably our greatest threat in some ways. I don't like to think about it that way because I think categorizing that
Yeah.
doesn't really help me. But for the sake of contrast, yeah, it's it's
It's something to make friends with, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably catching myself going, oh, I can't do this, or I shouldn't do this, or I'm ducking this up, and stopping and recalibrating myself. Knowing when I'm doing that, and and also sometimes going, oh, I'm so glad I ducked that up because I don't want to do that. It's I'm playing with this concept these days to counteract years of like, oh, I'm not quite doing it right, or self-doubt and self-judgment with maybe everything I do is right. Maybe when I duck things up royally, even that's
Yeah.
right. Like,
Yeah.
the resilience of things blows me away. And you know I I'm I'm following a couple new people on Instagram that I find very interesting. One of whom is a doctor, and she's cured a bunch of her own autoimmune stuff. And her thought, which I feel like I had in an independent way, was, I'm always healing. Like, the moment that I like hurt something on a tiny level, my body's trying to heal it. And it's like, I think one of the mental traps I was in was like, oh my gosh, I'm hurt. Can I ever be fixed? Can I ever heal?
Mhm. Being broken.
Yeah, it's gonna be so hard to turn this around. Like, can I ever do it? And again, I've lived a pretty charmed life, so there. But my mom would interject and say, "No, we tried to screw you kids up as much as we could," a little tongue in cheek. But she was a young mother and he was a young father, and they didn't work out, and there was stuff and other things in life. But I still understand that I've had a very charmed life. All things considered, I can always do better. And it's okay to not be perfect. That's another big one. It's how many years of like trying to perfect things before I release them that I do. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know what, screw it. And so in 2009, I wrote and recorded a song every day. And that was more monumental to my, some would say growth, but I would say actualization, uncovering who I am, becoming more of who I am than anything else, because I just did it. I
Yes.
I had that kid energy that everybody talks about. I didn't give a duck. I went ahead and just did it.
Right.
I have all those songs on my Spotify account, and they're raw and, you
Yeah.
know, messed up versions, but they're, it's odd to me. Every once in a while I'll look and see what my most played songs are, and there's some of the ones where I have like clear duck ups in the middle of them. But
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yes.
we can always polish the thing, but you got to have the thing first.
Exactly. You made a thing into Spotify, which is the thing that like the whole world can push play on.
Right?
Amazing. And I think, I mean, every day for a year, is that what you just said?
Yeah, in 2009, so it's been
And
30 now. And then that really kind of kickstarted it, because at that point I probably, add 365 to whatever I'd written up until that point, which was
yeah,
probably 100 songs. But now I'm sitting on about 6,000. I think it's 6,036 songs that I've written in the last 25 years.
amazing. Well,
And
I mean, what I hear in the, at least the one per day, I don't know what your usual rhythm is, but you had to face that inner critic every day in a rhythmic way. And you promised yourself and you kept your promise, I think is the real gold,
yeah,
like the real self love that you did, because you weren't surprised every morning when you sat down with that critic,
right.
and you're like, sit down, we're doing this, right? You're like,
You're
yeah,
here again.
right? Yeah. I mean, you weren't like, oh, maybe I will or won't. If I feel like strong enough against the critic, I'll sit down. No, you were like, come, sit here, but shut up over there. You stay over there. I'm doing this here.
Yeah. It's the movie of our life. The bully picks on we as the bully pick on ourselves. Every day. Someday we're just like, duck you. Go ahead, throw us down. No.
So I think if I'm hearing you right, your challenge is going anyway, even though you still have that critical inner critic voice talking, because from my outside observation, one would never know.
Right. Just say, right? Like, and
Yeah.
part of it is having done it for a while, having done it grain by granularly, grain of sand by grain of sand, and all of a sudden it adds up. And now there's a little beach in my backyard. But each grain of sand counted. And there were
Exactly.
some days I didn't get a grain, many days even. Like, there are days I showed up and I did let it get the better of me. And then there was a meta problem of like judging myself for not doing a better job, trying not to judge myself. And like, I know that's a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing too, but like, you know what?
That's the I talk about.
Be ducking easy on yourself. Like, we show each other so much grace in so many ways, as much as we also fight. But like, would you treat somebody else the way you're treating yourself? That's what and people in my life would point out. They'd be like, Jesse, you're beating yourself up right now. Like, would you
Yeah.
treat somebody else like that? And I'm like, no. Well, then why would you treat yourself like that? And then when you have those moments, you're just trying to find the thing that clicks, and it clicks, and I'm like, duck.
Well, and really, I mean, we are powerful, and also we also need other people to go, Jesse, stop it. Like, what did you just say to yourself? You're so mean.
There is.
And finding people who you're willing to be that honest about your inner voice coming out so that they can even feed that back. Because, I mean, what I can do sometimes is like, I'm so judging myself that I'm like, judging myself for judging myself for like no one else can come in there because it's creepy in there.
And nobody else is even looking that close. I love that too, where it's like, you might even be worried about how it's all going. And it's like, nobody's actually concerned with it that much. And like, in some ways, I would even argue that we're not even concerned with it that much. We're exercising our brain. That's so, what's Ricky Gervais's line? It's something like, of course we're mental. We're chimpanzees with brains the sizes of universes. Of course we're mental. You've got a huge muscle. It's called your brain. And like, it's okay if it overreacts or if it beats you up, because it's a big muscle. But kind of like, you gotta learn how to flex it.
Dance with it is what my coach says.
Yeah.
Like, I see you, I'm here, We're going to get through
It,
this.
it's an
The
asset.
Wicked Tone says, ask Jesse if he ever experiences a lack of creative inspiration, and if so, how he deals with it. Wicked Tone is
Yeah,
just putting you on your paces here.
he's my brother. He's my brother. I've been so fortunate in my life to know people, and especially through the job that I left after 17 years. I mean, Tony and I met there. You know, we were we say we were drafted the same week. You know, we were a good,
Nice. Yes.
amazing human being who puts his all into all that he does. So he's, you know, a great inspiration. So I get to have these people in my life that I look at and I'm so inspired by, him being one of
Part
them.
of that community we just talked about, right? The people who get to be like, I see you, and I'm going to call you higher.
The value of the village,
Yeah.
the value of being vulnerable with the village too. To really
Yes.
put um, the consonants in there, the alliteration. So, Tony, that's a great question. And it still happens. And I think sometimes I will put things down and I'll change what I'm doing. If I am wanting to be creative and I don't have the inspiration, I won't force it. I've tried to force it before, and it kind of like earlier conversation, like contriving things never quite feels as good. You know, it's doing something authentic is so much better. And sometimes what that means is maybe that creative thing isn't happening right that way, but something else I'm looking for might show up right then. It's kind of like when you're going out shopping and you're like, oh, I really need to get this pair of black shoes. And then you find the belt you were looking for 6 months ago that you couldn't find back then. It's like there is maybe some sense of like a divine timing. You know, my personal feeling is that we are all divine. So it's really just you doing it to yourself, breadcrumbs for yourself. But it's knowing that one, I can't do it wrong, and two, there might be something else. If I'm trying to get this, but it's not happening, there's probably something else. So can I take a pause? Can I redirect? Can I change where I'm going? You know, or can I also just realize, you know what? Sometimes I don't got it. But you know what? It's kind of like
I
something.
think there's always something else that
If
you got.
I let go the kind of festering about it, then it passes.
Yeah,
Creative again. So
love it. So you are a person with so many potential calls to action, but this is the part where I say, where do you want people to come find you or connect with you first, or is there some way you want to point people that are just getting to know you?
great question. Yes. Message me right here on Instagram. Find me on the interwebs. Message me through anything. I've got a gazillion email addresses and contact places. I've got so many websites. My top two websites are jcddllc.com. That's my like store and my website. That's the
The
my
umbrella.
website. So jcddllc. I've got jessecdiener.com as my main music drive there. Within my Instagram profile, I have a hyper follow thanks to my beloved distro kid who distributes my music. That lists all my stuff. Contact me any which where. You know, I
Okay.
okay to get, you know, any of your contacts if they're inquiring. Feel free to give my contact information. Happy to know people. You
And
know,
is there one event you'd want people to come to most right now?
I've got two things coming up musically. If you want to get a sampling of what I'm about, I'll be playing a live stream. There's a link in my Instagram as well through online thing, which is this amazing company in Canada that got together during the start of the pandemic to put me. Oh, thank you, Kat, for putting it there.
Thank you.
The online concert thing. Heather and Ben, thank you so much. I'm going to be performing online with my buddy and bandmate Jamie McCullough on Friday at 8 to 9 Pacific, and online concert thing, but it's in my Instagram too. And then Saturday, I got my first show in a few months in person. I'll be at the Berkeley Beach, I think Berkeley Marina-ish, for this amazing thing called Solar Van Saturdays. Thank you, Danny Molina, another bandmate of mine who hooked me up with Lee, who puts it on.
Whoa.
So August 5th, 8 p.m., and then August 6th at 12 noon in person in Berkeley. So if you want a virtual thing, August 5th, 8 p.m., and a live thing, they're both but live in person thing on Saturday the 6th. Those are the upcoming things. But I'm looking. I want to play more. I welcome if anybody needs a troubadour to play things. I played parties. I play all the things. I write songs for people. I'm still working on a song for you, May. Like
That's what I wanted to get in here.
I,
Yes,
I
podcast listeners, you're gonna hear Jesse every time, intro, outro, and I'm so excited. You have been prolific
yeah.
with those, and I was just listening through them again today, and I was like,
I'm
you know,
gonna
there's a lot of boom,
I'm
boom,
good
do,
at
do,
it.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm welcome to feedback. I don't take anything personally. Thank you, Don Miguel Ruiz and the Four Agreements. Bring it, bring it, bring it. But if anybody out there feels like they want to, like, I've got an amazing manager, Tiffany Van Sinclair, and then, but I am looking for an agent for music and screenplay stuff. So if anybody out there is a burgeoning agent or knows a burgeoning agent who wants
Bring it.
beyond motivated,
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for going over with me. But I feel like, you know what? Everyone, who cares? We're
it's
here. We're
close.
here, and you're welcome. We just gave you double,
And
double the time.
I saw, I mean, the count grew. Like, yeah, it was definitely like,
It
if,
grew after the usual close time. So yeah, this is. I
oh,
think it might.
and
It's great.
and I'll be I'm back on my thing. I'm on Instagram every night at 5 that I can. So I'm a little off to perform just a few songs. I call it my like uplift. You know, for when you're getting off work, I'm like, I'll play you a couple of love songs. You know, and like
Yeah,
fuck you up. So Instagram 5 o'clock every day Pacific. So
nice. It's a reason to close your laptop and
yes,
or quit the work part and then turn on the joy.
I spend all day filling my pitcher, and I'm happy to fill yours at 5. So
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'll see you soon, Jesse. Bye.
ciao.